Hey, I hope you're all having a great weekend. Saturday here, what is it, the 25th of January already? Wow. Uh, so just want to go over the igrid pack. We have about double the amount of traders coming on board for the igrid pack than I ever imagined, and we're just now getting warmed up. So I'm at a place that it's a coffee shop, a lot of background noise, and I see Hazel, my Aussie Doodle, is barking at somebody with a little pug. So anyhow, uh, I just want to show you, we just added the igrid Momo indicator. So basically this is what used to be the money ball, and I've upgraded it for NT8. I've talked about a little bit in the last day or two. One thing I'm going to add to this Momo tool that I decided I want the moving average that's reading the money ball indicator, bar close by bar close, and then plotting a moving average that you can set the period and adjust how responsive it is. That will overlay on top of it. You can set the color, turn it on, turn it off, make it, more responsive, less responsive, and so on. I decided I want to add that in because when I dial in settings, I really like when I see, especially if I speed up and make it a little bit more responsive, I like when I see the moving average reading the money ball indicator bar close by bar close, getting zero line crosses. So a lot of times we'll actually get the zero line cross sometimes if I set it to responsive settings just before we're actually going all blue. And I can use that to start looking for, hey, do I have short setups that I can take advantage of from the dual bands? So that the highest of probability trades are working long setup signals on the dual bands trade when I'm in bearish mode. So I'm sorry, bullish mode, and I can work short setups when I'm in more of a bearish mode. As far as I'm in downside momentum, look for short setups. When I'm on upside momentum, look for long setups. Here's another one, just a filtering mechanism. So it's a good way to add some confidence to, hey, I want to be a buyer here. Does it make sense to be a buyer? Well, yeah, from this area where the moving average crossed, or if I'm not even using the moving average, that's reading the money ball information. If I'm just getting some crosses from downside bearish momentum to upside positive momentum, hey, I can start either waiting for actual dual band signals with the audible alert signals output that can be used with third party tools, or I'm going to start looking for hooks in the fast bands to target entries at the mid-band area or below to be a buyer in the market where the main bands are basically pointing up. So there's a lot of ways you can use this approach, watching the momentum tool as you're waiting for either the specific mean reversion based signals that have an audible tone and a vertical line that you can toggle on or off, change the color thickness and all that. You can change the audio file. Just like, you know, so if I get a long setup, but I'm in downside momentum, then I might be more apprehensive about taking the trade, maybe unless price just came down to and tested some key level. Then even though I have downside momentum, if I get a signal, then that would be something that, oh, yeah, yeah, great meeting you.
Stay in touch, okay?
Yeah, yeah, I will for sure. Okay. Oh, our dog's running away. Okay, hang on, guys. I'll be right back with you. So anyhow, sorry about that. My Aussie Doodle took off and went to meet a pug that I just realized it looks like a friend she used to have where we lived in Texas. But anyhow, so yeah, you can use this to decide what setups you want to take during the day. It's a mechanism. A person can also use the Momo as they dial it in for standalone directional trades. So in other words, you see an area where you're starting to get transition taking place, then okay, that's an area I'm going to start looking for short setups. Okay, I have some hooks taking place in the fast bands in the area of the upper side from the mid band or above in a downtrending main bands area. Here's what we call the hook. And those are areas that can be targeted for short trade entry. You can throw in some liquidity, put a stop just above those most recent price pivot, get pushed through mid band, take some off, stop down to break even plus, and see if you can get excursion to the other side and close out. And these tend to be, from a typical entry on a lower time frame intraday scalping chart, you're looking at like 2.2 to like 3.3, 3.4 R to R typical trades in normal oscillating markets. When you get into trending markets, you can get in trades and frequently beginning 4, 5, and 6 R to R from one side of the bands to the other. So that's the good thing. You naturally have almost all your trade activity at least above 2-to-1 reward to risk. So again, kind of going back and giving another example of this, you have a transition in the bands where you have multiple bars now printing from downside momentum to upside momentum. Right. Okay, let's take a box here and equal it up with the bottom one as far as where that area was. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's erase that. Let's do this. We will just go on price itself. There we go. So as we're getting the transition from downside momentum to upside momentum, now I know this is the area I could go work hooks. Anytime we get a little dip in a hook to the upside, these are areas I can target to do quick scalping, and I'm then always in alignment with some sort of bullish sentiment in one indicator that's completely not at all, using the same type of math to analyze price. So it's not correlated to the way the bands are reading price. So you have two non-correlated indicators that are all within the igrid pack. So when you get the igrid pack, we have a cluster of indicators and bar type that are in the igrid pack. So you have two non-correlated indicators saying, hey, you can start working the upside now. Or when you get the crosses, maybe you have a rule that says, hey, if I have 5 bars, then I'm going to throw in some liquidity. I'm going to put a stop on the bottom side of wherever the bands are, and I'm going to see if I can get excursion or ride that out to the other side of the bands. So when you get about 1.5 to 1 R to R, you can move stop to break even plus and leave your liquidity on until you get a little push and, hit your daily goal or hit your per trade goal or whatever the case may be. The wonderful thing about trading with indicators that will show you what the dynamic range of price currently is it's completely has massive amounts of capability because you can trade really, really low tick charts, really, really low seconds or minute-based charts. You can trade grid bars charts, grid Renko charts, range bar charts, volume charts. The dual bands indicator is not codependent on any specific bar type. It doesn't care what bar type or what time frame you're on. You can go in and dial the indicator in per our training. And the key to training is when I set up my band, so let's say I'm trying to find time frames where the speed of the candlestick open to close is at a pace that works for me if I'm a manual discretionary trader. I set the perimeter, I should say the deviation of my main bands in the settings. In the igrid bands, I set those deviations of the main bands so I only see about 5 to 10% of price spending time outside the bands. That's like my general rule of thumb. So I can go sit down, go back like 5 trading days, set my bands, my initial setting on the main bands until I scroll back 5 days and notice that what the excursions I'm getting outside of the upper bands and outside the lower bands are only about 5 to 10% of all the price action. Boom, I'm dialed in. Now I go to my fast bands and I set it so I can cleanly see the hooks and, for taking trades in alignment with what are the main bands telling me. Are the main bands pointed up? Okay, I need to be playing the long side. Are the main bands upper and lower pointed down? Okay, I need to be trading the short side. And then I can finely tune the bands from there to give me more signals or less signals, because the more narrow the bands are of the main bands, the more excursions I'm going to get outside of the bands with the fast band. So there's all kinds of access of adjustability. So will have no problem whether you're trading in some crypto, you're trading a stock, you're trading a future or whatever, depending on what platform you're running this on. You can dial in the tools to what you're doing. Like I have guys that trade 2,500 volume bars on NQ. They eat, sleep, and breathe those. I have some guys trading 1,100 volume bars on Russell as their entry. I'm sorry, on NQ as their entry chart, but their bigger picture chart is a 2,500 volume chart. And they've got the bands dialed in now for that bar type and those settings. I got guys on range bars, tick bars, on Ninja Renko charts, on Unirenko, this guy's Renko, that guy's Renko. And so on and so on, reversal bars and all that other stuff. The bands don't care. And you have multiple access of adjustability. You can adjust the main bands, how responsive it is to price, and the deviation of the bands, just like I can go in. So that's the main bands. And then on the fast bands, I can set the responsiveness to price and the deviation there as well. Then I can go in and say, hey, do I want to see the vertical lines? Yes or no. If I do want to see them, here's the coloration. I can go in and set those, what color, how thick, and so on. We got audible alerts. I turn them off. I don't care about audible alerts when we're getting these crosses and so on. And then we've added outputs so you can see bar close by bar close, what is the horizontal price positioning of the upper and lower main band? What is the horizontal price positioning of the upper and lower fast bands? And so on. So you can go take those outputs and tie them into Algo Studio Pro, trade management third-party tools, Bloodhound, Blackbird, and Markers Plus. So let's go in, take a real quick look again at the iGrid pack. This is the bundle of tools. You get the grid bars, bar type, in the iGrid pack. You get the grid alerts, which we used to call the grid MA alerts. You get the grid bands, which I'm showing here, the dual bands indicator. You get the iGrid cloud, which has all kinds of functionality. A lot of traders really like using that cloud. We got the iGrid Momo and the iGrid step. So the iGrid step, the iGrid cloud, and the alerts, I have many, many videos back several weeks ago covering those, what they call the GR88 trade and other setups and so on. But in recent days here, we've taken the bands, gotten all the last little things we wanted done, and there we are. Now, I do have a iGrid Pack 2. This is iGrid Pack 1. iGrid Pack 2, next week we're working on getting ready to deploy it. So anybody that's part of the iGrid program gets access to all this stuff as we add it. That one, we have another set of bands that's slightly different from this. Those set of bands, I was going to put it in with this pack, and I just decided last night that, I don't want to have two sets of bands in one pack. That'll get confusing. I'll have the iGrid bands in this pack, and I'm going to name the other ones something slightly different. They'll be in iGrid Pack 2 that has some other, we're going to have one additional bar type in there. I'm going to have a hybrid version of the iGrid Evo indicator and iGrid Scalper indicator combined into one. That's going to be in there, and some other tools. So more good stuff on deck. Watch this weekend, today and tomorrow. I've got a lot of live video of the bands on various bar types and time frames running it live, showing you how to work trade setup. So watch for that this weekend. If you have any questions, info@gridalgo.com.